Now, this issue has a little age behind it. How is it that the planning commission or whomever they go before, um, nobody really sniffed this out?
That's very good. I've got a copy of the entire application that went to the Planning Commission as well as went down to Annapolis to the Department of IDM and so forth. And we read them and studied them thoroughly. And as you well know, when you read that surreal report, you'll see that they're instructed, or whoever reads this, they're instructed how to best promote that with the commissions or with the boards that they are confronted with, as well as with the media, as well as with the neighborhood association. And you have to realize if you're investing $3.5 million, you should have more outreach when you're trying to contact the community. You should have more than 5 or 6 people show up for a public hearing. And if you invest $3.5 million, I would think a little cookie and Kool-Aid should also be there to attract more of the people. There is more than 4 or 5 community leaders in that particular area. And I must, please give me a minute here, I must defend those leaders because I read a lot of the promotional material, and they subtly say that Glenn Hines, Councilman Hines, President Brown, and President McDonald of neighborhood associations, as well as a Mr. Fisher, that they were all present. They also talked about city advocate Cherie Dixie, and they indicate that they were in support of that. Mr. Hines is definitely not in support of garbage in any neighborhood of Fort Wayne. Mr. Brown can stand on record said he never knew that it was going to be garbage taken to that community, and so forth. So they are misleading the public yet today to indicate that they have the endorsement of those people. And you heard the ministers the other night saying no garbage in any neighborhood. And I'm glad today that there's a few ministers and community leaders with us today, as you well know.
So now, as I started reading through all the articles, I saw one that said that Jerome Henry said that there's not going to be any garbage there, but other articles said that garbage will be coming in. So if there's going to be no garbage going over there, where will the garbage go, and who had the contract for that? Or is that a separate entity, and how is that going to be handled?
We have to be very careful, and one of the things that came out of the meeting on the 17th that Mr. Henry said that. So he's on record of saying that there won't be any garbage there. And quite factual, that's what we want. And if we could be assured that we could stop today with what we're all about, but we can't be assured that. And my communique to the community leaders in the next day or so will be that he said that, but there is no strong commitment that there won't be. Of course, it's going to be a limited point right now because they don't have the city contract. And that's where we go from here. We must let the city know that this community, this city, oppose garbage being dumped or collected at any neighborhood within the cities of Fort Wayne.
But you know something, we're going to have our audience involved in this issue here in just a bit. But as I'm reading this stuff, and especially the attacks on you, because I found those really interesting, people were also attacking Pontiac Street and the whole area over there.
Yes.
By saying that people have, Christmas lights up all year round. They got cars and garbage and stuff, in a front yard. And then it showed that this one lady said that she purchased her home for $4,000, and somebody else said that having a recycling plant might increase the value of our property. And what I'm getting at is uh, the perception of that area. I mean, they didn't care because it was a lower income area, and and they even said that, what do you want? Do you want a factory to come back with all the soot and everything? You know, it seemed like they're comparing negative with more negative, and when they said that if it goes back to the way it was with all the soot and the factories going on, that made me realize that that whole area, O3, that has the highest cancer rate of any other area in Fort Wayne.
Yes.
And you know what I'm driving at is it seems like it's kind of okay to go ahead and just dump in that area.
Absolutely not. It's okay to do that. And I personally think it was a slip of tongue when the young lady mentioned that she bought a property for $4,000. I don't know for sure, but she could have meant $40,000. But whether it's $4,000, a house is not a home if no one is living there. And I don't care if it's $4,000, we must learn to respect the dignity of all people, low income people, middle income people. We must respect their dignity. And I just took issue to that. But I'm thankful, Eric. I'm thankful that we don't live in the era when the majority of the people think like the people that's doing these blobs. They are a minority. They are not the majority. And so we must be careful as the masses of people. We must be careful that we don't step down to their level and deal in the mud that they're talking about. We're better than that.
I'll accept that. Although I would, it's a lot of comments that were said about you, and a lot of the comments that were said. I'll just touch on this last one. They said that everybody that's against the Sorrell report said that it's all about skin color, and that there's a serious lacking of community pride in our little chunk of Detroit, referring to Pontiac Street, calling that a little chunk of Detroit, and it also says here. So the question remains: it is about this neighborhood. Did they get bamboozled, or simply is Mr. Stevenson just up on a soapbox? And I have to say this: I am so glad that you are taking such a high road to this thing and addressing it forthrightly, because also often, sometimes when we address issues, we don't do it right. And in fact, even with the president, as he attacks issues and attacks or responds to people attacking him, he's almost too nice. And I hope you don't get too nice.